On Living Ramadan tonight, rising star in the radio broadcasting arena, breakfast show host at Push Radio, Yuzriq Meyer, opens up about his challenges in life and finding Islam again. Premier Helen Zille gives an insight into her understanding of Ramadan and what inspires her about the mother city. As a result of the spiritual dynamics of this holy month, Ramadan touches the hearts and minds of more than just the Muslim community. We learn more about the challenges facing the Habibia Children's Home, but there are many success stories to celebrate as well. South Africans living abroad compare their Ramadan. Inspirational and motivational speaker Abdul Ghani Baboo Phoplonker shares his insights on how one should live their life. They say dynamite comes in small packages. Young Ghalied gives us his perspective of living a wonderful Ramadan. We end off with a spiritual melody.
My name is Yuzriq Meyer. I'm 24 years old, born in the year 1992. I did my schooling at Belgravia. I was always fond of writing, always fond of doing poetry and so forth like that. Whatever my mom told me, I remember my mom told me in the year 2009, just near the time that I finished high school, to go study journalism. And I was like, no, but journalism it's just not something I want to do. She's like, do journalism, you like writing, you like speaking, go for it. I studied journalism. I went to Damlin College in the year 2010. I studied journalism there. But I mean, the college, for me, college just wasn't, it's a bit too small for me. And I just felt like I needed to kind of expand myself. I went on to studying at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, where I studied journalism. And I think I finished in 2013, finished everything I needed to do over there. And then near the end, my intern process, what I did was I was writing for a magazine for a while. I was just a freelance writer for Treasure magazine. So I wrote for Treasure magazine for a while, did that. I mean, that ran out, and I was like, so what's my next move? Finished my studies. I needed to find something. I just happened to be at an internet cafe one day, and I saw that Push Radio happened to be looking for people. I applied. I was like, you know what, it's a long shot, but I'll try. If I make it, I do. I went through, I did the interview. Of course, it was the speaking process was they first kind of speak to you one-on-one. Then you do a written test, kind of just to test if you actually have anything going on up in there, basically. And then they called me back a week later, and I finally got into radio in the year so it's 2 years back, so it's 2014. But what I really enjoy about radio is being able to connect with people, being able to tell them about what I'm thinking, and also at the same time be able to let their thoughts be known to other people as well, because I mean, we live in a diverse South Africa, and it's always good to hear also different views. And I mean, it's always just being able to speak to these people, connect to them, and be the voice for the voiceless, for the people who don't have a voice. I mean, for the little auntie who just started a shop, for the little woman who just decided to open up a garden who no one knows about. I feel like I have that role that I can now expose them and tell people about the good work they're doing. So I mean, it's about inspiring people and just connecting with them on a daily basis. The show I do at Push Radio is the breakfast show. It happens between 6 and 9 o'clock every single day, Monday to Friday. What it consists of, I interview a diverse amount of people. I mean, people from all walks of life, people doing all types of things. So whether it be actors, dancers, singers, company owners, store owners, clothing brands. It's pretty much everything in the spectrum what people are doing today, and up and coming and established as well. The show consists of different things. On Monday, it's pretty much normal. We interview people, we play a little music. Tuesday, again, we have it's an all hip hop show. It's called Hip Hop Tuesday, where I have artists coming in, so guys who just kind of getting into the hip hop scene, who want to do music, they've seen it as a way of expression. I have them come in, play their music, rap, do the cypher and so forth. And just to express themselves, what they do. And then on Wednesdays, it's again pretty much normal. We'll have a DJ maybe come through. We'll have talks about different things again regarding whatever topic it is we're going to be speaking about for the day. And then of course on Fridays is a show called Friday Side, where I play just psychedelic trance music, and it's cool because I'm the only radio presenter, or at least the only show in South Africa that has played psychedelic trance on FM radio. So I mean, that's also one of the big things that's happening as well. But I mean, we talk about many things. I mean, we talk about top stories in the news headlines. We talk about what's happening in government. We talk about politics. We talk local government. We talk community. We talk all things South African and Cape Town. There are many crises in my life. I mean, if I'm just looking at my childhood, I'm going all the way back to where it started for me. I mean, again, a boy coming all the way from Athlone, grew up in Athlone with my mother and father. I mean, they've been separated for over 10 years now. And I think there was a big change in my life for coming from a home where I had both my mother and father, just to understand what's happening now. I'm not with both of them, and I have to see my mother on weekends, and we don't live in the same house. And what was interesting enough was the fact that my parents were different religions. They got married in court. My mother and father, when they got married, none of them had either converted to each other's religion. So my father was Christian, my mother was Muslim, and they got married in court. So there was no wedding or anything. And I mean, they got married, and we were never a solid. When I say we, I'm talking about myself and my sisters. We were never one official religion, because when we were with my mother and my mother's family and all my cousins, things, we were Muslim for this weekend with all our Muslim friends. We were with my dad and my Christian cousins. We were Christian, but not necessarily in the sense of we took on as it, but it's just like the way everyone was. We just did what everyone else was. I went to church. I went to youth. I learned about things in the Bible. I went to mosque. I went to Muslim school. I learned about Islam. I made my salahs. I did all those things. And for me, there was always this clash, because the thing was I could never really choose one, because I felt like if I should ever choose one religion, I'm choosing the love of that parent who is that certain. Because my father always tell me, no, you're Christian. My mother used to tell me, no, you're Muslim. You came from me. And so, I mean, that was really tough for me. I mean, for a long time I was lost. I mean, I at one point actually had practiced no religion whatsoever. I didn't even believe that the God existed. And up until at a certain point, I mean, I could never actually choose which religion I was going to go into, because, like I said, if I chose the religion, I was going to be choosing which part of my mother and father I loved more. And had I taken Islam, then my father would be, and I love both my parents exactly the same. There was no levels to it, because I think they both did pretty much everything they could for me, and I'm pretty much happy with all that they did for me and they gave me. So I could never really choose. I was stuck in between. Then what had happened was I decided to venture into other religions, just to find it a little bit more, maybe to find myself, to find something that would cater to me, and maybe I wouldn't be upset in any of them, but I would be doing something completely on my own. You know, let me find out about Judaism, let me find out a bit about Buddhism, just so I could find and source a certain religion that kind of appealed to me. But I've never really found, and on all my journeys, and I felt like I've lived a little of each of that religion out just at some point in my life, and then also going all the way back to being an atheist and believing in nothing at all. Then I just kind of had this epiphany. I mean, I was at the point in my life where I just felt like, nothing made sense to me. And I'll never forget, it was a day I was actually out at a party, at a big party, where I just had this the sudden realization of Allah, and that I was being protected all this time, and that everything in my life was a journey all the way just to get back to Islam. And I mean, I never in my wildest dreams think I'd be so in love with the deen, with Islam and like that, because I didn't come from a history of kind of doing that all the time. So I mean, that was a big crisis point and a big turning point. And actually, that turning point had only occurred in near the start of this year. And I mean, now I feel like I'm happy in the fact that I kind of went through all of that, because now I have a better understanding, and I'm a bit more tolerant of other religions. If someone tells me they're Christian, someone tells me I can understand them and I can relate to them and know where they're coming from. But lots of people know to this day, I mean, I'm a Muslim, and that's how I live. As of late, man, I mean, I've always been a positive person. I've always just kind of had this just love to be a positive person, speak to people, smile and so forth. But I mean, if you look at if I'm talking about my religion, I'm talking about being someone who practices Islam. It's knowing that faith in my Creator, being able to wake up and knowing that, my Creator has shown another day for me and has blessed me with another day. And I mean, I can wake up in the morning, I can do my Fajr Salah, I can feel happy and I can feel blessed knowing that, today, whatever happens today, it will be the will of my Creator. And for me, that's really something that inspires me to wake up every single morning, to know I'm going to go connect with people, and to know that I'm also blessed and that I've also done my duties as a Muslim. So what Ramadan means to me, I mean, this I've again through my in my younger days, I kind of did have Ramadan, and sometimes I've always had respect for it, because I mean, it was always my mother's religion, and I've always kind of respected it. Sometimes not even partaking. I mean, for years, I didn't partake in anything Ramadan. Of course, just eat, coming up with nice clothes, but that was all just like how I was raised. But I mean, for now, what Ramadan means to me, it's a sacrifice you make, that you make for your Creator, knowing that, I'll go without food, I'll go without drink, and it's to spiritually connect with my Creator on such a level, and also just to also understand the plight that many of the poor and what the homeless are facing on a daily basis. And I mean, it's a way of making my my faith stronger with my creating, and it has been. I mean, I fasted every day up until now. Okay, I won't lie, I've missed one day, but I mean, it's been good. It's been good though. I mean, I feel much more connected. I feel like a religious person right now, just knowing I'm going through it. And my day, I mean, food and drink, that's fine. I mean, it's things that you can go without. If your faith is right and you know why you're doing it, it can't be a problem at all. If you're doing it for all the right reasons, and then it's all good. Well, one big thing is the capability that you can be not necessarily a perfect person, but you can be a good Muslim. And these are the things that you can do on a daily basis. This is 1 month that you have to, that it's part of our 5 pillars of Islam. You have to fast in Ramadan, but it just shows you that what you can do in this month is something they can do throughout your life. And I mean, for me personally, this is the month of Ramadan where I've even started learning more about the Deen. I've sat down with my Quran, and it's things that you wouldn't normally do other than when it's not Ramadan, just because you aren't that so connected to the religion when it's not Ramadan. But now I feel like what I am taking away from this is become a better Muslim.
Premier Helen Zille gives an insight into her understanding of Ramadan and what inspires her about the mother city.
Every religion recognizes the spiritual importance of fasting, but there is no religion that is practiced in South Africa that has institutionalized fasting like the Muslim religion. And that gives an extraordinary focus of discipline, of sacrifice, and of service for a lengthy period of time in which people can focus on renewal and on giving and self-sacrifice. And that makes an enormous difference. It is a cleansing of the soul, and it is practicing the discipline required to live a good life. And it makes an enormous difference not only to the Muslim community, but to everyone who works in a society where many Muslim colleagues have that approach to life. So while the barakat and many other things are a fringe benefit, the most important thing, of course, is the spirituality and the service that emanates from this period of fasting. The lesson that I learned from Islam, and Ramadan in particular, is how much discipline is required to lead a holy life and a life of service to others. It's not something that you feel like doing often. It's something that you do because it's the right path, and sacrifice is part of that. And to experience firsthand the suffering of the poor and the deprived makes one a more empathetic and caring person. And that's, I think, what one experiences, and one has to have enormous discipline to carry it through. The notion that South Africa can be a really great country, it can be a great multicultural country in which people can live in harmony together because we all respect each other, because we all ensure that everyone has the right to determine their own identity, their own religion, that it's not imposed by anybody else, and that they are safe to live that and to fulfill their own dreams for their lives in any way they like, as long as they're not harming anyone else in the process. And that we all respect and protect each other's rights to do that. And if we can do this in such a multicultural and plural society like South Africa, we will set the example for the world.
As a result of the spiritual dynamics of this holy month, Ramadan touches the hearts and minds of more than just the Muslim community.
Hi, I'm Bobby Brown. Now, I grew up in Cape Town, which means for as long as I can remember, I've been familiar with Islamic practices and traditions. The neighbors I've had, the neighborhoods I've lived in, the friends I've gone to school with, lifelong friends I've made, and the colleagues I've ended up working with. So I've always been aware of and a little bit familiar with the holy month of Ramadan. But you know, in the innocence of my childhood, I might have gotten it a little bit confused, focusing more on the wonderful Malaysian delicacies, my favorite buba, cook sisters, bolas, faluda, and all those great things. But as one grows up, you start inquiring from friends and colleagues, and you start understanding that the holy month of Ramadan is in fact about the exact opposite. It's about being able to resist those things and to temper a very basic human instinct. The need for sustenance. When you're hungry, the primitive brain kicks in and you don't think consciously until you get food into your mouth. So being able to resist that is for me a wonderful and admirable exercise in human restraint, and the lessons that teaches, lessons in humanity and sympathy and empathy for those who are less fortunate and who have to live with hunger pangs for days on end through no fault of their own. A very good Muslim friend of mine, actually explains it in exactly the same way. He says, now he loves food as much as I do, and he works in an environment where there's always snacks going around and being offered, and he says the ability for him to say no thank you and to resist is exactly a exercise in his own humanity to make him a better human being, a better Muslim, a better man, to be able to say no thank you, even though he is desperately hungry at that time. And I think it's a wonderful thing, it's a wonderful lesson to continue to teach yourself on an annual basis, to teach the community, to teach the world at large, at a time when I think more humanity and empathy and sympathy is in fact in great need. I still live amongst many Muslims on either side, my neighbors and across the road, so barakat's always on offer, which is a wonderful thing. But also I notice during this holy month of Ramadan a warm community spirit. I notice also a wonderful sense of humor despite the obvious hunger of having fasted from sunrise to sunset.
Hi there, my name is Monique, and what I know about Ramadan is it's a very special month where my friends and colleagues would fast during the day, all daylight hours, and the key thing that I understand about it is that it's not just about fasting, but really being mindful of the fact that it's kind of cleansing and also thinking of the other. So people who are less fortunate don't have as much food and clothing and all the kind of things that we need on this earth, making my colleagues, that they would stop and think and be grateful about it, think about what they're saying. So being kind in thought, in word, and in action. So that month is really a cleansing and kind of honouring of others and the kind of privileges that our lives bring us. I do know to greet, to say Ramadan Mubarak for the beginning of the month of the fasting, and just blessed Ramadan. And just on a very human note, I know that some of the women who do the fasting, they take a lot of strain physically, especially the more petite women, because it is quite intense for them to not be eating or drinking right through the day. But they honour it exactly as they should, because that whole process, almost that type of suffering that they're experiencing in that time, is reminding them of how privileged they are versus people who might not have as much food on the table and things like that. So yeah, I wish I could share more knowledge. I don't. I think maybe if I had to be in conversation I would know a little bit more. But that's what I do know from the friends and colleagues I have.
We learn more about the challenges facing the Habibia Children's Home, but there are many success stories to celebrate as well.
The home basically started in the early 80s by a group of women called the South African Women's League. So the home will be approximately almost 30 odd years old. It started out with a woman living on the premises within a car, and then they opened up the whole building for mothers and children, and then the need arised only for children. Then the home had girls and boys at that time, and then the boys moved to Al Maun, and the girls moved in to stayed here at Habibia. So at the moment we only have girls. We cater for abused, neglected, abandoned orphans. They come from various backgrounds. So we get the kids via the court, via the social workers, but we do not get any funding from them. And a lot of the kids has been here for more than 9 years, 12 years, up to 13 years. We have 13 is currently living on the premises, aged 7 to 17. According to the law, the girls can only stay till the age of 18. But what happens is, if that school, they adhere to rules, then we are allowed to get an extension. Not from the court, but we can, as a home, can give that extension. And we can assist them wherever we can. But it depends entirely on the child, because normally when you're 18, you're a bit bigger, you don't want to adhere to rules. But alhamdulillah, most of our kids stay till almost 19 if everything goes well, because not all of them are age appropriate. So they will probably be 19 in matric only or 19 in grade 11. We cannot just take you from the door. What happens is the court will give us an application. We will see if we are the most suitable place for it. And then we will say yes, and then the kids come in via the court, yes. It's supposed to be for 2 years. Then it gets renewed every 2 years. And then the outside social worker is supposed to work with the families. But it's not always that it happens like that because of circumstance. Firstly, they do a pre-visit where the social worker brings the child in. We then chat to the child. Because Habibia is a home away from home, it's a very friendly, homely environment. The kids immediately adopt to being here. So once the kids are here, they go to school, they go to madrasa, and we also have other programs that we do. And then once the kid starts coming here, we first take the child to the doctor to see that the child is healthy. Because the report doesn't give us a full medical history. So we do all of those things. Islamically, we assess you to see if you have to go to madrasa or if we have to get somebody special for you. And then, but what I must say, once the kid walk into this, sometimes it's a bit overwhelming for us because we would expect a child that comes into the home that will be crying, that will be unhappy. But the moment the child walks into the children's home, it's like, what a relief, I'm in a home, I've got a plate of food, I've got people that is caring for me. So that is basically, the homes basically is a safe haven for most of the children. Every Thursday we have arts and crafts. There's people that comes in that does cooking, there's people that comes in that does homework with the kids. Life skills where the kids cook on a weekend, especially the bigger girls. They will be taught how to cook. They will basically follow us and ask us how things are done, as well as they go to madrasa to Nur for madrasa. A lot of the people host the kids in the sense of the entire family. They either come to us and have iftar with us as a family, or we go to them as a family. We do not individually host the kids because our kids feel that they are family and that's what they want to do during the month of Ramadan. We haven't cooked. I think we cooked about twice in the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah. Tonight is one of the nights that we will be going out. They will be picking up the kids. And just yesterday we had about 150 people having iftar here with us, but they come with everything. And we have basically dress a child for Eid, where people take either shop for the child or fetch the child and shop for the child, where the kids are dressed entirely, from head to toe for Eid day. This year will be the first year where our kids will be having Eid at the home with their choice. They said they do not want to go to various people because this is their home, and a lot of them are bigger girls, so they will be leaving soon as well. So they said that is what they want to do, alhamdulillah. Well, we have a few success stories. We have two kids that has graduated from varsity. One is in Dubai, she's married now. The other one is studied at UWC. And then we had a chef at the Capetonian Hotel, and we have an inspector in the police force. We have one child that went on Hajj twice. And then we also have our mothers, but they are able to sustain themselves and not depend on other people. That is also a success story.
South Africans living abroad compare their Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum from South Bend, Indiana, 2 hours away from Chicago. My name is Ebrahim Moosa. I'm Professor of Islamic Studies at the University of Notre Dame. I'm delighted to talk to you about Ramadan in South Bend, Indiana, where we are about 150 to 200 Muslim families. We have an extraordinary spirit of camaraderie and togetherness in the month of Ramadan. During this month, of course, during the regular prayers that we do at the mosque, there's also Taraweeh and also Friday prayers. During the Taraweeh, we have a range of people who had memorized the Quran, who about 4 or 5 of them read the Quran to us. For the whole Quran is read here in the month of Ramadan. In addition to that, we have a great community spirit in the evenings, where at about 50 to 100 people come do iftar, and on weekends about 400 to 500 people come together to have community iftar. That is a real community building event. Since we are all small families out here from different parts of the world, getting together is we are family of each other, and that gives us a real good sense of community. Furthermore, the Muslims in South Bend, Indiana, while they are small, they are also very influential. For instance, there's about 55 Muslim doctors that serve the community out here, and people in various walks of life, from people who are teachers, from people who are in business. So Muslims are also fairly integrated into the life of Indiana in this area here. And so they make a major contribution to the society at large, as well as keep their distinct Islamic identity. In many ways, Ramadan in South Bend, Indiana is similar to the way Ramadan is celebrated in Cape Town, but in other ways it's also different. Thank you from South Bend, Indiana.
Inspirational and motivational speaker Abdul Ghani Baboo Phoplonker shares his insights on how one should live their life.
I actually saw this in a movie, and I want to share this with you. The movie, funny enough, was called The Three Idiots. And one actor says, "Do you want to feel good? Then lie to your heart." And now you'll ask, but lie to your heart? How do you do this? And he said, just tell your heart all is well, and all will be well. So fool your heart and say, all is well. If you feel down right now, or you feel depressed, or you feel you have a challenge in life, then do that and say, all is well. You'll be surprised what happens then. Try it now.
They say dynamite comes in small packages. Young Ghalied gives us his perspective of living a wonderful Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan reminder 26. Our Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to love to go visit the children at the orphanage, and we must do it. Assalamu alaikum everybody, but I love you. Bye bye.
We end off with a spiritual melody.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا